Yeah, how long do we go for? Oops.
No,
Usually
that's
like
okay.
an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hours about good for me. So
Okay,
Okay,
good,
cool.
good.
And if you need to leave earlier than that, just let us know and
yeah.
we'll imitate your voice for the rest of the time.
Perfect.
You can phone in.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the co-founders. We have a special guest, Chris Goldkamp, with us. Woo.
Hey, how's it going,
Thank you for
everybody?
joining us.
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
So, Chris, you joined ICAS in 7th grade.
Yeah, back in the summer of 2005, and it was for my 7th grade. Yes.
I remember that. That was a long time ago. I think that
Yeah.
was the year I joined too. So
Was your agent too?
how long did you stay in?
I was there a little over 5 years. So I graduated from ICAS and then went to the seminary over in Cheshire as a novice. And I was there until, let's see, November of 2011. And that's when I made it home. Yeah.
Okay. So were
Were
there
you
for
a first year novice?
First year novice for only a couple months. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did not make it through a year into mission. Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
don't worry, you're in good company.
Yeah.
I think that's the curse of the kitchen.
Yeah, that kitchen, man. Cool.
Yeah, so I handed it off to you.
Yeah.
And it's a formative experience.
It was
And,
it was different.
I mean, I don't know if you have any I don't know if you have any stories from it, but I've told my stories already.
I don't know.
but-
Like one of the reasons I actually wanted to come on here was just kind of like try, like, not in a bad way, but just like try to dredge up some of the memories because it's just like so far in the past, and like, I'm cool with it now that like it's just kind of funny thinking about some of this shit in retrospect.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember just like I would go and like for like one of the Saturday or Sunday mornings, the chef wasn't there. So like the kitchen guy was supposed to make the food. And I remember like the first time I went to do it, I was just doing like normal scrambled eggs, like chill, whatever. And I just remember Father Victor coming in and just completely like blowing up the kitchen. He's like, no, you got to do it this way. And like, he just got all mad that I wasn't like frying the eggs in a certain way and flopping them on toast. I was like, I know I just like scrambled eggs. People like scrambled eggs, but like, it was just like some of the smallest stuff in that kitchen that people like. And it wasn't just Father Victor, right? It would be, it didn't matter who, one of the superiors would just come on in and have their whole opinion on things. I'm like, now that I look at it now, and I love to cook, actually, like cooking is like an art. There's so many ways you can do it. It's just so funny that they were so dead set on like everything has to be done in this, which is kind of, emblematic of the Legion, but everything has to be done in this specific way in this specific time frame. And it's just kind of like, what? So yeah, I think about that a lot sometimes.
Yeah. It's a very good point, man. It was very that you do it this way. Every little detail that you kind of broke that down well. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I remember Father Victor specifically telling me not to put onions in scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah, he told me that too.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, it's delicious. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna mix them.
I think that was actually one of the guidances you gave me as you were handing it off, and I just forgot. Yeah.
It could have been. I don't remember what I told you. It was probably mostly nonsense, but
we were what, 17, 16? What did we know?
Yes, I think we were 16 when we entered the kitchen.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Which is, it's a good amount of responsibility for anyone, let alone
cooking
a 16-year-old.
For a whole school of a few hundred. Yeah.
And then you go out after you slave away on over the griddle, and you go out and you hear people say like, oh, waffles or French toast or like, whatever it is, like, oh, and you're like, I will beat you up.
Yeah, I was like, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember that like we already woke up at like 6 a.m. or like maybe it was 6:30 on the weekends, and I remember like having to have a brother wake me up at like 5 or 5:30 some mornings, like go prep it. It's like you go and do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you'd have somebody come in the kitchen at some point and like squawk at you about what they wanted and how they wanted it done. And then like you said, you'd get out there and somebody was like, God, what was new waffles? And it's just like, I'm gonna murder you right now. Like you did not have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do this shit. Like
Right.
Yeah. And it was so much pressure too, because it was like,
I
don't know, coming up with a menu and figuring out what to eat is not something that you're used to doing, and then when you have to do it for everyone, you're like, hope they like it.
Yeah.
But
Dude, I was like freaking boiling an industrial sized vat of hot water just so you can like cook pasta for the entire school. Just like you have to wait an hour just standing in the kitchen. And it's not like we had music. It's not like we had books. I just remember like sometimes just sitting there like I guess
yeah,
I'll try to scrub this a little shinier, like some of the metal work in the kitchen. Like it was just
yeah.
like such a waste of time when like at the same time they prioritized using your
Mhm.
time effectively so much. It's just kind of ironic to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kitchen duty was not meant for legionaries,
No,
or at least
no,
not for 16-year-old legionaries.
absolutely not.
That's funny. I think we probably had similar experiences too with especially like the father's waiters would come in with demands, and
Dude. Yeah.
and then the middlemen would come in with demands, and everyone would come with demands, and you'd be like, oh, I just pulled whatever was in the freezer out and I'm doing it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing is like we didn't even get to place the food orders, like the Cisco truck coming in. We didn't have any say in that. So it's like whatever's in the freezer, whatever's in the walk-in fridge, like work with it.
Yeah.
And then you'd have like somebody telling you to go like into the like, wasn't there like a safe type thing in the kitchen with all the Chinaware just for the father's table?
Yeah. And the father's
Yeah.
like in the dishwashing area,
Yeah, yeah,
there was
yeah,
a
yeah.
father safe.
Yeah.
And you'd have to like pull the door open and stumble in
Yeah.
there.
It was a behemoth.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually there was one for like a few weeks I had to actually place the orders for food
Oh, okay.
when the chef was hurt. That was a particularly dark month.
Yeah, I can imagine.
and they were like trying to make me budget things, and I was like, I'm not doing
Oh
this.
God.
You're
No.
not like, I have to do other things. And so that I think they made John Gilson do it. I don't know who did it, but someone who was getting paid did it.
Yeah, they should, as they should do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But we have a really storied history of kitchen people.
Yeah.
Daniel Carter before me, or yeah, and that was its own baggage. Anyway, but not to talk about the kitchen too much, but
Yeah.
you know, there's a brotherhood in the kitchen that
Yes.
that
I
was
think
fun.
actually the guy who was after me, Thomas Moore, I think he's still in. I'm not, he's one of the Koreans that joined. Yeah.
I didn't know he was
Fun dude.
wait, he was, oh yeah, he's younger than you.
1 year below me. I handed off the kitchen to him, which was like a whole other level of what the hell, because like, I mean, he was pretty good. He was pretty good at English by that time, but like he still had the language barrier, and like, and then give him the full responsibility of the kitchen. I remember like trying to teach him, and you can't get frustrated with him because like sometimes he just doesn't know the word of a specific ingredient, but it's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like a 17-year-old in a tie that looks like a Mormon, like,
Mhm.
you know?
And you're handing it off and you're like, this is my baby, please take care of it.
Yeah, it's like I put so many hours that I didn't want to put into it, but take care of it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So how you didn't last long at Cheshire, no offense.
None taken.
You stayed longer than I did, so that's,
Yeah.
either a good thing or a bad thing. What was your feeling about novitiate? Like, did you enjoy it a little bit or not at all? Or
Okay, yeah. So this is kind of a loaded question that, if you don't mind, I'll give a slightly long-winded answer to.
go ahead,
Yeah,
we like
go for it.
long-winded answers. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was interesting for me, and one of the things, I'm actually going to pull it all the way back to the summer program of 2005, and then I'll fast forward. So one of the most interesting things for me is I went to the summer program as a 12-year-old. My parents obviously sent me there. They were pretty involved with Regnum Christi and all that. No longer are, but beside the point. So basically, I went there and I thought it was fun because I don't remember his name anymore, but I had a Brazilian brother as my superior, and we basically played soccer twice a day. Soccer was my favorite sport. I loved that. It was a lot of fun. Everything else, though, and I mean everything else from the summer program, including like some things that people truly do enjoy, and I enjoy it now. But like then I didn't enjoy the hikes, the prayer time, all that. It's just I love playing soccer, and there were kids my age that were playing soccer with me, and it was constant and it was fun. But I remember, like, I don't know if I'd say wisdom of a 12-year-old, but I remember thinking like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna sign up for the school because that's the only thing I like, and like I'd rather just go back home. And so I told this to I guess spiritual director is the word we used at the time. And I won't name any names or anything, but basically he pitched to me and he said, well, look, you're 12 years old. Your vocation, God's will for you might be a priest. So would you really want to go to hell if you decided to leave now and not give it a try? Basically what he told me. And so like little old 12-year-old Chris, like the fear of eternal damnation planted in his brain. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll give it a year. And so that kind of kept going in my brain year after year. And there's a lot that I didn't even like at ICAS, although it grew on me a little bit, mainly because the way they do things, you kind of start to think their way naturally or unnaturally. But yeah, so fast forward to novitiate, and I kind of went there and decided it. And I was pretty much, I had gotten to the point over 5+ years where I was actually all in. I was starting to think, okay, I can do this. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was just fighting it all this time. And so I went into the novitiate kind of like gung ho, you know, maybe it's going to be hard. I've heard it's going to be hard. I'm going to do what I can. And it was kind of a mixed bag at first. It was kind of like starting at ICAS. There are some things I liked, some things I didn't like. But in the back of my mind, I was always like, I'm still doing all these prayers, but I'm not like feeling connected to God or to a spiritual power or anything. And I'm just kind of going through all these motions. But I just kept telling myself, well, just do it. So actually we did the 8 days of silence. I forget the name they used for it. And that to me, it was just kind of like awful. And then we started doing, I think it was like group workouts, and I have a heart condition, and like they knew that, but they still expected me to do all this shit. But anyways, so we had a family occurrence happen in November of 2011. Yeah, 2011, where basically my parents were able to convince Father Joseph Burke, I think he was kind of the guy in charge of the whole Cheshire community, to fly me down to kind of be with my family during that time. And so hopped on a plane, like Father Joseph explained to me, like, hey, your family needs you for a little bit. They'll explain it when you're there. And we'll see you. And I think it was like 3 days. We all know you never got time to see your family, especially not in the novitiate, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I got there and my parents sat me down at the table and they said, you don't have a return flight. Obviously all the news about Maciel and everything had been breaking, but what was crazy was in my brain, like I was so gung-ho about it, even though like there were things that I didn't like. I was kind of like shocked and also like devastated. Like I think that was like the first time I did real crying as an adult, because I just didn't know what to think. It was a very, very odd feeling. And I think what's super weird to me now is like I think about it and like I refuse to like accept it. Like I had to in a sense because I wasn't on a plane. But, like they had gotten into my brain so much and like made me think the way that they do, that I still like I brought my cassock with me because I was planning on going to daily mass and stuff like that. So like I would still like wake up and read my breviary like in my little room that my parents gave me. I would try to go to mass every day for a while. And I mean, eventually it trickled out, but like I think I'd have to check with my parents. They could probably tell me, but I mean, I think it was like probably a good month before it like started to sink in that just wasn't my life. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but that's kind of how I felt about everything.
It's really interesting.
That's a terrifying thing that they used, little manipulative trick about the hell thing. I haven't heard anybody say that before. That's really intense and scary.
Yeah, dude,
Wow.
I still think about it. I was like, if he didn't say that and just kind of tried to maybe say, hey, why don't you just give it a shot for a year? Sure. I probably would have never gone.
Right.
Right. So his manipulation worked, I guess.
Yeah, that would work. That would work in most scenarios, I imagine. Yeah,
that's really like I've talked to quite a few people and I haven't heard anyone, at least in the male side, talk about, not following your vocation will lead you to hell. Because they even they would have admitted that that's not how it worked. You could throw away your vocation and still go to heaven.
Yeah. Like theologically, there's nothing that checks out about that now that I, am an adult and have thought it through. But when you're there at the ripe young age of 12, what are you going to do? You're not thinking about the realities of existence and eternity, and like you're like, oh, that's scary.
Yeah,
right. Do you still identify as Catholic now?
Don't identify as Catholic. My family is pretty aware of that. I do still kind of have, I think I'm still like of a nebulous Christianity. Like, so I still believe like in the afterlife and that there is God, but I don't like follow any strict religion or like, pick a branch of Protestantism. Like that's not neat either. I'm kind of more of I think there's some really strong moral values in Christianity. And I just generally like philosophically think, hey, if you try to do good and be good and stick by the morals that you think are right, and there is God, which I think there probably is, but again, that's up for debate for anybody, obviously, well, you'd probably be fine. And that's what I tried to do today. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. And you got to follow your heart wherever it takes you.
yeah.
And don't let manipulation be the reason that you believe something.
100%. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go first. I don't have anything interesting.
Oh, no, it was just kind of like, what was your journey like? So you said there was that month where things trickled out for you, career wise, relationship wise, comfort wise. Like, what was your journey from there until now? Like, just along that way?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's kind of been tumultuous is definitely the right word. The first year, I definitely remember like one of my saving graces. What I had a hometown buddy where we grew up together from the age of like 3, played dinosaurs and shit, and just got into Family Guy when we were 10 or 11, that kind of stuff, right? And he was still in town when I came back. And so he, I think I still need to, I've let him know, but I think I need to I'll probably send him this podcast too later, but like he was very critical and just reintegrating me into what had happened the last 5.5 years, basically. Like he was like, you didn't hear about this YouTube trend, which it sounds kind of funny, right? Like, who cares about a YouTube trend? But like, that's what people talk about. Like, we don't think about, I mean, I'm sure this group does, but most people don't think about like, hey, what happens in pop culture and what movie came out and what music came out and what Kanye said to Kim, right? Like all that kind of stuff, like just forms a basis for conversation that, hopefully it leads to deeper conversations after that. But like, I realized so quickly that there's so many people who talk about something like, what the hell is that? Like, what? I was just so confused. But I would go and hang out with him and he would just like show me the shows or show me the music that he was into and other people were doing. Like, so that helped for sure. And then throughout that year, after, so basically until the fall of 2011, that helped out a lot. And I got a part-time job, right? Because I walked out basically 17 years old, not a dime to my name, other than, maybe stuff that my parents had saved for me and my college fund. Like, but again, 7 kids, it wasn't a lot. They definitely were super helpful still. But so like I got a job at TCBY and that kind of gave me more exposure to the real world, right? Like the Karens of Mandeville, Louisiana, wanting froyo for their kids. And I had one coworker who was just into a lot of substances, not the fun ones like weed and booze. And so like you get a whole view into like there are people like this, right? And it's not all, button up your polo and hike up a mountain.
That should be the title of this episode.
Go for it. But yeah, so that was just like, and that helped, right? I got good at saving money. My dad's super financially smart, so he worked with me on understanding that. And but I was still very, very self-identified Catholic at the time, which I think is pretty natural for what happened to me, I guess. And so I really wanted to go to a Catholic college. I thought that was going to be the right move because I was still like, maybe I'll try diocesan seminary. I don't know. Again, I still think a seed of what happened when I was 12 was still in the back of my mind. And so, yeah, I wound up picking University of Dallas, which is pretty well-known college in the Catholic college world. And I think it was the right fit, weirdly, for me, even though I probably didn't pick it for all the right reasons. Because while they have a lot of Catholic tradition, they also kind of brand themselves as the Catholic school for independent thinkers. And so they really challenge you to not think the Catholic way. Like, okay, yes, there's a theology class that everybody's got to take one of them or something, but like I took Kant, I took, Nietzsche, I learned a lot of different things. And my worldview was challenged so much in those 4 years. And there were really good people there, people that are still my good friends to this day. Some Catholic, some not, like me, and we're still just meshed perfectly. And so I think that was huge in getting to me where I am today, because I got to funnily enough, even though it was a Catholic liberal arts school, I got a business degree. So yeah, I throughout that process, I think towards my senior year, and I became a little bit of a party animal. I think most of people who would listen to this podcast know that. I think I really just kind of felt like I was starting to become like part of society again, which was really cool. And then, yeah, I mean, I graduated. I took a crappy intern starting job at a tech firm, and just kind of, I think, credit to the Legion where credit's due. I did learn hard work, and I learned how to stay disciplined, and that did get me to move up pretty quick. I mean, I went from starting at a job where I was like maybe $10 an hour to, then 33K a year. And, when you're right out of college, anything helps. So that kind of got me all the way to where I am in my career today, where I manage a department of internal training for a software company, which is a lot of fun, actually. I really do. I won't say I love my career. It's still a job. They're just like, bleh. But, I think all things considered, I'm doing pretty well there, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Relationships is a whole nother story. Yeah. So, I mean, the first step was friends, right? Which we talked a little bit about, but I mean, I just felt so weird not just talking to girls, but talking to people.
Mhm.
It was just weird.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think into college, like I had my first girlfriend maybe my sophomore year. And like that was, I won't say it was a huge mistake because I was gonna have to start somewhere, but I do feel bad for her because like I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? Like, and I definitely told her I love you, and like was like, oh, we'll get married and all this shit. Like I didn't know myself all the way. She didn't know herself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wound up like breaking her heart, all that fun stuff. But it had to happen at a certain point. So I learned from that, and then eventually, not in college, but in the summer of 2017, I went to one of my mutual friends from college who was still in the area had a pool party, and one of their new roommates had just become a veterinarian and moved to town. At that point, I think I was pretty good at talking to ladies. And so, yeah, we met, and, ups and downs, but we're married now and expecting a son in May. So
Oh,
pretty
congratulations.
good, all things considered. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that answered the question.
I think that did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all had that issue where we leave and we're like, how do you make friends? What do you like? There's no community anymore. How do I, no one's forced to sit with me. How do I talk to people? I don't know how you got over that. Well, you seem adjusted, so I don't know, maybe just having friends around you or having people around you.
mean, I think it's really dependent on each individual that comes out of the schools and of the seminaries, because like for me, I am pretty extroverted as it is. I mean, I definitely have my introverted tendencies where I'm like, get away from me, I want to read a book, play a video game, but like I do naturally like flock toward community still. So even though I was super awkward doing it, I was still trying to find it and seek it out. So I think that helped to a degree. Obviously, there was all the awkwardness involved of like figuring out who I was and how to actually interact. But I think that helped me a lot. And I don't think like everybody's got that temperament that I have. And so I could see it being super hard for a lot of people. And I'm not saying it was easy for me. It was still a big ass struggle. But I do think that was probably a part of it.
And let's see, going back to ICAS, I specifically remember you breaking your arm or your shoulder on like the day we were supposed to go back for Christmas vacation. Was that it? Was it Christmas Day? I don't remember.
Oh, dude, this is one of the all-time stupidest, greatest stories. So I think it's really important to paint the background to the story. But yes, you're right. It was basically, I think it was Christmas Eve night, and then we did Christmas Day at ICAS, and then we go home on the 26th, which is a whole mess in and of itself. We can discuss if we want to. But to the story. So I was an eager beaver, and I was always jealous because I think Brother Jason was his name at the time. He was our superior. And whenever we got like our monthly, or I don't know what the cadence was, but whenever we got assigned responsibilities, that whole first year, or first semester, really, technically, if you think about it in semester, so the fall semester, I always wanted to be the bell ringer. like, like when we line up, somebody rings a bell and it's like
Yeah.
30 seconds and they ring another bell and you're all supposed to be in a line, like a little military. Yeah. So I always wanted it. And I told Brother Jason that 1,000 times. And I got in big trouble somehow because I kept doing it when I wasn't supposed to. It was like somebody else's job. And so basically he made a compromise with me and he was like, dude, I think it was like early December. He was like, if you don't break the rule for X amount of days, I will let you ring the bell on Christmas Eve. And so I did it. And we all know how like the morning routine goes where Christ our King, your kingdom come, we have to make our beds perfect and sprint and try to be the first one for, I guess for the apostolics, it was in line. For the PCs, the first one at the chapel. But so I was just stoked. I mean, I was sprinting more than I would normally sprint for that morning routine. And I had my flip-flops on and I went into the shower and I was already ahead of everyone. Like I knew I had it. I was golden. And then I just sandal, because we shower in little stalls with sandals and bathing suits. That's another thing. Sandal to the wet floor, all the way up, right arm, full weight on it. So I broke, I think it was my radius and then some bone up here. I don't know. But yeah, so I spent that day in the hospital with, I think it was Brother Jason. It might have been a different brother. But yeah, and then I came back to a posada with this whole ass sling, and like I had to keep my arm like this. So that was just so humiliating. I remember like I think it was Brother Jason. He was just like making fun of me. He was like, "Do you need me to cut up your food and feed it to you?" So yeah, that happened. And that was not the only time I broke my arm at the apostolic school, but yes, that was a thing.
Yeah. Okay. I distinctly remember that and thinking, man, what luck.
Yeah.
What what luck.
Yeah. So I got to go home and tell my family, which made no sense to them. They're like, why do you care about ringing a bell? And why are you sprinting while showering? Like, what's your deal?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know why that wasn't a red flag to my parents at the time, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't remember the name. What was the name of that responsibility? Do you remember? I don't
I'm
remember.
trying to.
Yeah. It's
there's a name, but yeah, I can't.
Spencer, do you remember
No.
the name of the person who would ring the bell? They kept it like even through
Bell ringer, maybe?
No, it was like I'll forget it. I don't know. We'll remember one day.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
So when you cook now, do you listen to music or read a book?
Yeah, definitely. Normally I listen to music.
You don't just watch your water boil?
No, definitely not. Yeah, normally it's music, but sometimes like a podcast or an audiobook. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I still got my true Louisiana roots, even though I've kind of was in New Hampshire 5 years and now Texas for like 11 or 12, I don't know. But I really do like making a good jambalaya. I think that's a lot of fun. And we've been doing a lot of experimenting lately. So like we made a Thai coconut chicken curry, which came out really well the other day.
Those are good. Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of got my staples that I'm like good at, and it's just going to be easy, but we're trying to like expand out now. And like we stayed and didn't visit anyone for Christmas just because like we're like, it's probably our last Christmas together. Like, so we did that, but we made some really, really good braised lamb shanks, mashed potatoes and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, dang, getting hungry. I just had some oxtail. Now I'm already hungry.
Ooh, oxtail's good too.
Yeah.
I made sure I ate before this just in case.
just in case it goes long. Another question that I have, did you recruit Mitch Marcello?
Basically, I think so. Yeah.
Because I think that's the only person I know of who was actively recruited by, like, you know how we sent out vocation letters or vocation prospect letters or whatever they were called, and I think that was the only person who joined from those letters.
So now I want to fact check with my mom and dad, because I'm trying to think. I didn't know him beforehand, but I think my mom met maybe her mom in Regnum Christi. And on one of those like Sunday phone calls or something, I was like really wanting to like prove myself and like be like, hey, I recruited someone, which is again weird, but whatever. I think I asked my mom, I was like, do you know anybody that like might like the school and want to come up here? And she was like, I think, and again, I'll ask her later and maybe we'll edit it or fix it. But I think like she mentioned his name And then I think they got him to do like one of those weekends. Again, I forget their name, but just like one of those brief weekends where they have visitors up.
Mhm.
And I met him and I was like, oh, this dude's fun. And so I started writing him the vocation letters things. So, I mean, I probably have to ask him if that was what actually got him up there, but it probably played a part. I feel a little bad about it, but here we are. So,
Because I think he told me that after
Yeah.
like a few years ago, maybe. He was in the city.
Yeah.
He was living in the city, and we hung out for an evening. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
nice.
he told me that you were the one who recruited him. So
Oh,
that's
okay,
been,
so he probably hates me now. Yeah.
no,
Fine.
I don't,
I'm
I
just
don't know
kidding.
about that, but he might though. Shout out. That, yeah, it's funny though, because I can't, I don't know of anyone else who joined from a vocation letter, or from being cultivated, or whatever the weird terms we used were.
Did you tell him he'd go to hell if he didn't join?
I luckily didn't employ that tactic, so I don't feel the worst.
Yeah, you did what you were told to do, and
Huh?
you did it well, and you did it better than I did, because I just wrote, like I said before, I just wrote to my Jewish friend.
Yeah. Can we talk about how they read our letters home? Like, what the fuck was up with that?
Yeah,
So
we
weird.
Like,
have-
excuse me?
yeah, we actually, I don't know if you listened to the episode with Father Frederick.
I did, yeah.
Um,
So I guess I did hear y'all talk about it a little bit, but yeah.
we went to the source for that one. We've talked about it in several podcasts where we're like,
Yeah.
that was so weird.
Yeah. We don't need
but
to
I
get
guess-
into it here, but yeah.
No, we can. I mean, we can. What do you think about it?
Well, it's just wrong on so many levels. Like, so like if somebody so first of all, regardless of whether our parents sent us there or not, which for most of us that's the case, right? They're still our primary caretakers. They still have legal full sole authority over us as sub 18-year-olds. And so like if we ever needed to communicate to them like we're in danger or something, and with how limited they let us communicate, or even just communicate to them, hey, I want to leave, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, sure, we still had our phone calls, but like you shouldn't have somebody reading a child's letter to their parents just on like a moral basis. It doesn't check out, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal as well, like just from
Yeah.
a law standpoint. So
At least
yeah.
reading letters that were addressed to us was probably illegal. I don't know about
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
that would be
if we leave the letters open like they made us do.
that's their
you know,
loophole probably.
That was their loophole.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But like Father Frederick said, he didn't read, like he didn't really do it, which I kind of believe, because it takes a lot of time to read
Yeah.
all those letters, and there's not much that you can really gain from them.
Yeah,
Especially like I've read a lot of my letters that my mom kept, and I'm like, man, if I were a superior, I wouldn't know what to do with this. I would have no information. I'd be like, this kid's
Yeah.
he's a nut.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm sure they're pretty formulaic too. Like, this week was the same as last week. We did
Mhm.
all the same activities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly, yeah.
Well, I mean, how much is there to write about to your family that doesn't understand the lingo too?
Yeah.
Like you even saying preparation room, they're like, where's the preparation room? What does that mean?
Did y'all's parents also get mad when you said the word vacations, plural? Mine were like, vacations? What do you mean you're going on vacations? You're going on a vacation. I'm like, no, it's vacations.
Was that
they
like a
never
novice
went into
thing?
that.
Maybe it was a novice thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Just call it that.
that was later on when you were like,
Because it was
when
like
you
it's like a translation from the Spanish that
Yeah.
for some reason we did that way in English.
yeah.
Just weird shit like
That was weird,
that.
yeah.
My dad was like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
You want to use English?
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Weird shit.
they kept a lot of weird Spanish words and phrases that
Yeah.
made us sound like we were foreign.
Yeah,
I mean,
which,
they made up their own language basically. I mean,
pretty much.
too many.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh crap! Now I need to remember. Team balance.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yikes.
That was pretty
Like,
fun,
whoa.
wasn't it?
No,
I remember
absolutely not.
there was one brother who like took over one of them when I would think we were candidates, and he took over the whole meeting. He went through each single brother for like a minute each, telling everybody what they did wrong.
Oh my god!
It's pretty cool.
I just
That is really
remember
cool.
like I was a hothead. Like there are at least 3 different times where they threatened to kick me out of school, but they never were going to because vocations, right?
Yeah.
I realized that in retrospect, but yeah, I remember there was one of the times where I was a pretty fiery little hothead back then. And I always got pissed at one guy, and I honestly can't even remember his name now. But there was one time where like I would be really sneaky about it. Like I would first be like, James, here's what I noticed you did wrong. And then like I'd let a few people go. Spencer, here's what I noticed you did wrong. And then a few more people go, and they'd be like, you did this. And then like the brother told me to just stop, and I was like, but he did it all. And then he like pulled me out. And then I went to Father David's office, and I was just like, whoa, we're supposed to be telling people what they did wrong. It's the rules. Like he broke the rules. I'm telling him.
I had sources.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
could source all of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really weird.
Do you remember
was
who
like
that was, or are you sincerely don't remember?
I want to say it was Paul Fleming.
I was gonna say I
but,
think it was Paul Fleming's.
We beefed a lot. I've talked to him once or twice throughout the years, and we're chill now. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we're not close or anything, but I think that's who it was. I'm not 100% positive though.
That would have been my guess if someone put a gun to my head and said
same.
that. After that, I was going to ask if it was Paul Fleming's, but I didn't want to put the name out there if you.
Yeah, you're good.
And like you said,
I have no ill will toward anybody that I was at school with. So
yeah. No, he's a cool guy too.
No.
Shout out the Fleming's family.
Shout out.
All of them who I don't think they have any. I don't think any of them are still in. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, good for any families that made it out. Especially after having I think they had 5 kids in at one point.
I know there's one point where I was there, and Paul was in my grade. John Mark was, I think, in 7th grade at the time, so I think we were in 9th grade, and then they had a senior, I think. So there were 3 of them at one point when I was
Josh.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Jonathan was in Cheshire, I think.
Yeah, and I remember they would always talk about him when they did their vacations, and they were all like, outside, like, "It's my brother, John."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
So maybe they only had 4, but still.
Either way, that's a lot.
Still a lot.
That's 4 too many.
1 is a lot. So
yeah. Yeah, I remember you were always like the soccer player, and you were good at it. And you didn't really have any competition. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we get older.
Yeah. Started to drink too much. It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It happens. We're all drinking tonight, I think. Except maybe
I got a whiskey here, so
got a margarita.
Nice.
Cheers.
My doctor was like, my doctor was telling me like my liver wasn't great. I was like, yeah, I've been going a little hard. He's like, yeah, you might want to cut that back.
I'm sure mine will tell me that at some point soon.
Yeah.
Or just don't go to a doctor.
That's kind of my strategy for a while. So all right,
take some essential oils and call it a day. Yeah.
just don't try and be too quickly. Don't try and shower too quickly. And you'll be fine.
Yeah.
What was your how do you feel about, let's throw back another memory. How did you feel about like the sockball wars and the snowball wars? Were you a fan of that?
I guess I'm kind of neutral mostly. I did like the idea of the woods and building the forts and stuff with, I guess, Father Justin, Brother Justin Keelhorn then. I thought it was cool. I learned some like outdoorsy stuff that I probably wouldn't have learned. And then like the sockball thing, super weird. Didn't make sense. Throwing snowballs at each other. I get that. Normal humans do that. So I think it was fun. I definitely, that was actually, you bring it up, another one of the incidents where I was threatened to get kicked out because basically we were doing I think it was snowball. It might've been softball, but either way, I was a captain, and funnily enough, Mitch Marcello was a captain, and maybe he remembers it differently, and maybe I'm speaking on my ass here, but the way I remember it is, I don't remember the rules. I think it was some type of capture the flag, but basically I kept coming up with this really good strategy where we'd get his team caught, and then it was pretty ruthless. Like we would like pellet them with the sockballs or snowballs while we had like one speedy dude keep getting the flag. And Mitch started getting mad at me because we kept winning, and like we did it like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I was like, why don't you do something different if you want to win? And then like, I think, oh God, my arch nemesis, I don't know if I could mention his name. It was a brother who was in charge of us at the time. He got all mad at me and like was going off. He was like, you need to listen to him. What he said, like, I'm trying to win the game. Aren't we supposed to win? Like, this was going on. And so this is, I think, the only time that I got really heated, and we were going back and forth, me and the brother, and we were in front of everyone. And Mitch was just kind of on the side, like fuming. And I remember just like at a certain point, like I was like, look, I followed all the rules. We're winning the game. I'm not going to stop trying to win because Mitch is upset. And then he like argued with me again. I remember just telling him, go fuck yourself. And then I wound up with Father David again. And then again, obviously we're threatening to kick you out didn't hold any water because they weren't going to kick anyone out. But yeah, so I don't know. It definitely fueled my competitive side, the snowball wars and softball wars. I think I had fun with them, probably more than some people. But it was a little weird, like going out into the woods all together and like,
Yeah. How do you get your competitive side out these days? Is there something you engage in?
I'll embarrass myself a little bit. Me and my older brother and some of my buddies from college, we actually really enjoy playing Fortnite together.
Nice.
So,
okay, that
try to
gets
get some royales that way. Yeah.
Yes.
And then work as well, right? Like, I want to be the best I can at my job. So that, I think that helps a lot too. So
That's cool.
It's also very funny.
Yeah.
Because Fortnite is, it's a good I don't know, it's an outlet might be the word.
Yeah,
I think so. Because it's kind of funny these days, like if I'm doing anything like in person with people where they're like, there's a competitive, like we do escape room, like my wife Jen, she loves escape rooms, and like we do escape rooms with friends, family, and like there I don't let it, it's not that I don't let it come out. I think I've just kind of tamed myself to put it in the right areas. And like I'm normally the one that just kind of like lets everybody else lead, and then like if we make it out, we make it out kind of thing, So I'm definitely like way tamer than I was back then.
Yeah, you were a fireball.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would deny that went to that school with me. So
And your voice was a little bit raspier.
yeah,
Like you would lose your voice.
Oh yeah, I lost my voice all the time yelling during snowball wars, softball wars, whatever. Yeah, I really did sustain a lot of injuries up there. Now I'm remembering we got back from a snow hike, and you know how like you're gonna think I'm stupid, but I haven't been in real snow other than when Texas lost all its power last year. But I haven't been in real snow in a while. But like, there's a circumstance where like there's a bunch of snow, but there's like a little sheet layer of ice on top.
Yes.
And it was just like everybody, like I wasn't even mad about this, but it was just like the funniest thing. We're all like picking it up and hitting each other like on the beanie with it, and like the most bizarre physics happened somehow where somebody, I honestly don't remember who this person was actually, but they hit it, and the way it broke, a piece of it flipped and scraped my eye. And so like I was wearing a patch. I literally wore a patch around the school for like a month. I think it was my senior year. It's just like, I don't know how. I've sustained so many bizarre injuries up there. I don't know.
Child endangerment was not a big priority for the Legion. That's for sure.
Oh, hell no. Well, one of the other ways I injured was during one of our like summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Where I climbed up a fence to like get a rag, went too fast, fell, landed on my arm, broke it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same arm?
Different. This is the other arm. So this is my left arm. Yeah.
Shit.
And Father Steven came in for like a tackle in soccer, full on cleat, broke some metatarsals. Like that was fun. Yeah.
Shit.
Oh man, because Father Steven's a big dude too.
Yeah, he was definitely north of 200. So
yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The irony is I really haven't broken anything since then.
Yeah.
I wonder a full-grown adult slide tackling like a 12-year-old. That's a fucking hilarious thought.
I think I was a candidate at the time, but same idea.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean,
at some level, the assistants must have been like, "Fuck these kids," and like, just like.
I thought about that when I was listening to your Woman with Father Frederick, and I was just like, dude, some of these guys that are put in that were put in those shoes, like 22, 23. I'm sorry, but without the Legion, I wouldn't have been like emotionally mature at 22, 23.
No.
If I came up through the Legion, I sure as shit wasn't. Like, what was going, like, other than the brainwashing, what was going through their brains that they like didn't just beat the ever living shit out of us sometimes? Like,
right.
we're a bunch of like little, like, it's crazy to me now that I think about it. Yeah.
Purely the rules, probably. Purely
Yeah.
the rules. That's all I can
100%.
think.
Was the Brazilian
God's
brother
will.
you mentioned earlier, was that Brother Marcio?
Yes, that's his name. Yes, Brother Marcio.
Yeah, Brother Marcio Welter.
Good guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool guy.
He had like one tooth that was like discolored.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
Okay,
that.
same
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. Okay.
um
Just making sure I was thinking of him.
yeah. Oh yeah, because you were already in ninth grade
Yeah.
by the time he
He was cool.
Yeah,
I liked him. I liked him a lot.
I was a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, section C, and
He was pretty athletic too, from what I remember.
He was good at soccer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, makes sense. But yeah.
I don't really remember an assistant who wasn't good that I had, honestly. I can't think of one that wasn't good at sports.
So speaking of people who would wail on us, adults who would wail on us.
Another good title.
Do you remember Father Kermit? Yeah.
Yeah, I love Father Kermit.
Was he like older and like he
Yeah.
would just show up in the summers and he loved hiking, soft voice? Yeah, he was cool, I think.
He was so nice.
He would show up at random times. He would come for like the Christmas games too. Like he was. I think he was a
He
vocation
was like a
recruiter.
gentle guy. He was so gentle.
He was
And
a
he was
calming
probably-
presence.
And he was probably the only one who killed multiple animals. Because he was an Alaska boy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
He remember he would. This must have been in like the early summer program of like 2005, 2006. He would just hang around the back of the gym when we were playing dodgeball, and he would pick up the small dodgeballs, and he would just wait, and he would pick a target, and then just
That dude had an
fire
arm.
a
Yeah.
fastball and just nail kids, just like knock them down. I remember there was an adult who was there, like an outsider adult, like one of the dads was like, he was like, holy shit, that guy's killing these kids. He's just gonna, and you couldn't throw back at him because he's not playing.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do?
So that's one of my fondest memories, just those little dodgeballs. You'd pick one up and all the kids would scramble.
Yeah, he could whip those. I mean, most people could, but yeah.
He had a good arm.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. What else have we? What other memories can we dredge up? What was I thinking today? I saw something on TikTok that reminded me of Lulu bears. Do you remember the Lulu bears? Those little like bread bears with chocolate in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember that at all.
Snack time was so weird. We had the Lara bar phase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We had Toji Mayas and Semperars.
Semper, that's the one.
Semper. Oh yeah.
Disgusting. Fucking gross.
Yeah.
Didn't we have like popcorn? Didn't we do popcorn sometimes? Like simple stuff too? I feel like maybe not.
Maybe like a special
weird stuff.
We had a lot of weird shit.
Like basically all the stuff
Donuts.
that like people
All the
didn't
time.
buy in the
Donuts.
grocery stores, they gave to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we did get almond joys one time, which was pretty cool until we realized why we got them. But hey, what can you do?
Yep.
Yeah, there are random memories that are locked in my brain that little things can trigger them. And I just saw a bowl of little bread bears today, and I'm like, Lulu bears. I remember those. They weren't.
That's me with Lara bars.
Yeah. We had the worst Lara bars too, because they're good ones.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. I actually eat them sometimes now, but like it was always the crappy ones.
Yeah.
Which again didn't sell in the grocery market, so they came to
that's
ICAS.
So let's see. Do you still talk to anyone from your time in the Legion? Do you keep in touch with anyone really, or
Not regularly? We'll have kind of moments, I guess, almost like this, obviously a little less formal, where like online may like see somebody hit a milestone or something, and you're like, hey, congrats, how's it going, kind of thing. I'm connected with Tim Myrna on LinkedIn, I think, so that's cool. But yeah,
I think I
wouldn't
am
say
too.
I wouldn't say I'm like close to anybody or like regularly keep up with anyone. Yeah.
Well, you might get some messages after this.
Yeah, that's fine. Hit me up. I'm in a spot where life is going all right. Gonna have a lot of downtime once we have the kids. So happy to connect with people and talk if they want to.
Yeah, And congrats on the move. Congrats on the child.
Thanks. Yeah.
Lots to be grateful for, I guess.
Yes.
Not telling you how to live your life, but
Yeah. I don't think you are.
Spencer, do you have any questions for him or that you're waiting on?
No, not right now. Yeah, it's been fun, man. This has been really fun.
I think one of the most interesting things to me is just kind of that, like, all of us who have left, it's weird, like it's a weird dichotomy where we've gone through the same journey, but also an entirely different one.
Yes.
And it's kind of why I reached out about the podcast in general, is just kind of like, it's everybody processes it in a different way, and it's never not going to impact you, even if like you get to where you want to be or where you think you want to be in life. Like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, life's good. I've got a wife, I have a kid coming, and I've got a decent job, all of which good things, right? But like, it doesn't mean like it still doesn't, impact you, and you think about it and you're like, what would have been different? Like if my parents didn't ship me up to a cult, basically,
Yeah.
And again, like no knock on my parents. I mean, they use the same manipulation tactics as, they did on everyone. Obviously you wish they would have seen the red flags as adults and things like that, but I'll never be too harsh on them, because I don't know, it's just interesting to me that like now that I am where I am, it's kind of like, I don't blame anybody like for where they stand in their life who went through that. Like my sister was at ICA, and she's in a totally different spot of life than I am. And she's, she's doing her best, as am I, and that's all you can really ask for. So essentially it's just kind of some of the thoughts I had, like coming to the podcast and chatting with you guys. It's just kind of, it's weird how we all go through such a similar but different journey afterward.
Yeah. It is, man. And I think about that too. Like, how much more comfortable would I just be in life with who I am, and with, like how much more comfortable would I be at this point if I hadn't had this experience, and how much more like, but at the same time, like I do talk to people who didn't go through ICAS and who are still very fucked up and still very like struggling with it's just different struggles, really. So maybe everybody's fucked and we're just doing the best we can, it is what it is type thing. So
nobody's got a perfect little life they portray on Instagram.
They really fucking don't, dude. We're all doing our best.
Yeah. And it's like you said, you can't blame your parents. I think we all have that inner thing where we're like, you should blame your parents, and you're like, no, our parents were all kind of deceived in the same way.
I mean, we get into the history of it, there's just so much going on, like so much like kind of demonic, almost, maybe not demonic, maybe that's the wrong word, but like evil planning and all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes to like make the top people get what they want in a really perverted, messed up way. And it's like, yeah, like people are going to get deceived when somebody planned that out that much and thought through all these crazy things, like pull the wool over your eyes, right?
Yeah, it's true, man.
No, definitely. Well, we've got a few minutes left. I kind of want to ask one more question, but it's such a okay, whatever.
You can ask anything.
Okay. How this is okay, whatever. How did you take the news about Maciel?
I think
how
it
was
was
it disseminated to you?
Yeah, that's the interesting question. So I remember we had like a special meeting. I think I was a senior when it broke, so I still actually decided to go to novitiate. But I think part of that was because of the dissemination of the information, right? Was kind of hey, I think they brought all the pre-candidates together first, and they did the apostolics after. For anyone listening that didn't go there, pre-candidate, like upper high school, apostolic 7th through 9th grade. So yeah, I think from what I remember, it's kind of like hey guys, our founder is not who we thought he was. It sounds like he may have done some bad things, but that doesn't mean that he didn't create a great institution still, and that all the work that we're doing here is for God and for his glory. So like anything that you hear, like yeah, take it with a grain of salt, because good, like there's some biblical stuff they reference how like good fruit can come from a bad seed or something like that. I don't know. So a lot of that kind of messaging where it's like, hey, what we're still doing is good. It doesn't change who we need to be in our vocations. But we just thought it was fair to let you know. And again, the extent of what he actually did wasn't told. I think the most we got was he was married and had a kid. Didn't really hear anything else from anyone till my parents yanked me out and told me everything in that November. So that was kind of like just another manipulation tactic that worked on me, right? Because basically if they just came out and said, hey, this may or may not be true, but this is what's being stated. Here's all the things they said he did. Even though I was kind of brainwashed at the time, I think that's not, I don't think I'm using the term wrong there. I think that is what they were doing. But I think even then, at 17 and having fought so much and been in so much trouble all the time anyway, I think if I would have had all the information, I wouldn't even have gone to the novitiate, right? But I didn't. They didn't give it to me. It was all couched as keep doing God's will, keep doing it for the greater good, for God's glory, for the kingdom, right? So that's kind of how that all broke for me.
Okay. Yeah. It probably would have been in your junior year, I think, because I was a senior. Yeah. But I do remember them telling us that he did unpriestly things and that, he had a kid, and that was all he told us. I'm like,
yeah, that's all we got.
Like, okay, he had a kid and he probably molested that kid. Like that's a big step.
Yeah,
they didn't tell us. And it's kind of like, you're withholding a lot of information. It's like saying someone who robbed a bank and then drove recklessly to get away from the police. It's like you say, oh well, they were impeding traffic. It's like it's like, oh okay, it's not really the whole story, but okay, sure. I just wanted to
junior year does sound right.
Because it was 2009 when they broke the news, because he died in 2008, and then a year later the news came out.
We did like a whole thing for his death too. It was like he was basically a saint already. Oh, that was great.
That was a lot of fun going to Cheshire.
Didn't we go to Cheshire?
Yeah, we went to Cheshire for a special mass. And I just remember when he died, there was one person, Neil Baldwin, was just crying so hard. And I remember just like saying,
poor soul.
I was kind of like, I wasn't laughing because it would have been inappropriate, but I was just thinking like, dude, we didn't really know him. And then Brian actually said that on when we had him on, he was like, Neil Baldwin was crying a lot. I'm like, I remember that specifically. That was funny.
It's like I met Father Alvaro way more than I ever met Maciel.
And I know if, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I still didn't cry when Father Alvaro died. Because I only knew him for like, I feel like he was a victim in several ways too. But he still towed the line or carried water. I don't know what I'm saying.
We know what you're saying.
Okay, thank you. That's good to parse out. All right, I guess if that's it, this has been the Co-Founders.